Do or do not. There is no try. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. I'm Ryan Brower, and today I'm here to give you guys my overall thoughts on Clone Wars Season 7. Obviously, for regulars on this channel, you guys have known that I've given you my thoughts on each and every episode of the Clone Wars Season 7, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed that. If you guys haven't seen those yet, it doesn't hurt to go back and check them out, because Clone Wars Season 7 was a great season, and I thought I'd kind of make a little video today giving you guys my overall thoughts on the season. And now that I've had a little more time to sit back and process that finale a little bit more, to give you guys my overall thoughts on that as well. So overall, this was a great season of Clone Wars. I think that goes without saying, especially because of the Siege of Mandalore. And I think that's probably why it's one of my top favorite seasons, is just because that arc is by far the best arc in all of Clone Wars. Now, to get into like the beginning arc with like the Bad Batch, that was a good arc. I thought it was a great way to start out the return of Clone Wars. And I loved the idea of having like this group of outcasts that, you know, would go in, and they were almost kind of like ARC troopers or Delta Squad or whatever, you know, right? But they were different than that, but they were still badass. And then having the addition of Echo at the end was incredible. I wish we would have gotten to see them more, though. If Clone Wars would have continued back in the day, they also would have had an arc with Bad Batch on Kashyyyk, which I would have loved to see, just because like after those 4 episodes, I'm like, gosh, I figure we're probably not going to get to see these guys again, which is such a shame, because I thought in 4 episodes they did a good job in establishing those characters and like why we should all care about them. Now, the Ahsoka walkabout arc, this was another really good arc in my opinion. I know there's a lot of people that are down on it, and I understand why, but I think what people have to understand, and I've said this before, you can't go from Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order to the Siege of Mandalore. Like, it doesn't work that way, because Ahsoka is in 2 different places, like mentally during this time, because when she leaves the Order, like, you know, her mental state is just like she's feeling crushed and defeated, and just she feels betrayed by the Jedi Order. And then by the time of the Siege of Mandalore, her mind is a little bit more clear, and her path is a bit more clear. So we have to sort of explain how Ahsoka gets to that point, and that's what the Trace and Rafa arc was for. And honestly, I enjoyed it. And I know like there were a lot of people that were like, oh, I don't like Trace and Rafa, and this is a filler arc, and, you know, we shouldn't be getting this in, you know, the sense we're only getting 12 episodes. Like, I get it, but like regardless, it was still a good arc, and it did have a purpose. So like it wasn't like, people can say it's filler, but it's not filler, because we're taking a character and we're moving her along in the right direction that she's supposed to be going in. So that's like not filler, you know. Like, filler is, you know, hey, we're going one way and then we just curve out the other way and do something that just takes away from the story and has nothing to do with anything. Kind of like in Last Jedi when Rose and Finn went to Canto Bight. Now, obviously, like, yes, they were there for a purpose, but it was taking away from the overall movie and the story that they were telling. And on top of that, like I said, there was character development. We were developing Ahsoka. You know, like when it came to Canto Bight, like Finn and Rose, what development really was there? You know what I'm saying? And then we get in my opinion, the best arc in all of Clone Wars. And I would even argue that the Siege of Mandalore is the best told story in all of Star Wars. You can disagree with me all you want, and I expect a lot of people to, because that is a very bold statement. But to me, the reason why I say that is because of just how well told the story was. And this has a lot to do with, you know, building up all of these characters from Clone Wars. But these last 4 episodes, it felt like a movie. And Dave said that it was supposed to be like a movie. After watching that first episode, Old Friends Not Forgotten, I believe was the title, I said to my brother, it felt like the first act to a movie. And I feel like each episode was like its own different act of the movie. And I thought, honestly, like, I mean, this story was so much better told than the Clone Wars movie. And the Clone Wars movie was fine, but the Clone Wars movie was not meant to be a movie. It was just meant to be the first 3 episodes of the Clone Wars. Here, it's like the final 4 episodes of Clone Wars it's meant to be a movie. It's meant to be something that coincides with Revenge of the Sith. And I loved the fact that in the first two episodes, they were kind of playing it off of Revenge of the Sith, like, you know, oh, we're now right here. Like the Capitol's been attacked and Grievous is attacking. And then in the next episode, it's Anakin's killed Dooku. And then the next episode after that, it's, you know, I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi. And then, you know, the clones turning and everything. And then when it came to that final episode, there wasn't any ties to episode 3. It was more of just Ahsoka and Rex, telling the story of Ahsoka and Rex and their outcome and what they're doing during this time, and as well with Maul as well. Now, if there is one thing that it's slightly disappointing, but like it doesn't take away from my enjoyment, because like I said, this is the best arc of Clone Wars. I was definitely on the edge of my seat watching these episodes, but I think I would have been on the edge of my seat even more if Rebels hadn't happened yet. Because Rebels has happened, and obviously for people who have seen Rebels, obviously we all know that Ahsoka and Rex are in it, so henceforth they have to survive. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know in your head that they're gonna survive, but I think kudos to Dave and his team for making it look like even when Ahsoka would get shot in the arm or in the hand a couple times, and then when Rex got shot, you would kind of freak out and be like, oh my gosh, they're gonna die, but then it's like, oh no, but wait, they do survive. But it's like for that split second, you think, oh my gosh, what? It was such a great arc, and it's hard to, you know, pick out like my favorite, I would say that my favorite episode is probably The Phantom Apprentice, but just because of the dialogue between Ahsoka and Maul and then their lightsaber fight. But apart from that, it's hard to rank each of these episodes because all of them I feel are equally as good. I know there's a lot of people that are sad about the ending, and me being one of those people. If you go back and watch my video talking about the finale episode, my eyes do kind of water up a little bit as it was emotional for me, and I know it's emotional for a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people that wanted more from this finale. Like the episode was only, I think, 21 minutes, I think, which is about like the average time for an episode. And you know what? I think I would have liked to seen a little more personally as well. Maybe what happened with Rex and Ahsoka. How did they go their separate ways? Where does Rex find Wolf and Gregor? What happens to Maul? Like, does he go to Dathomir? Where does he end up in all of this? But you know what? For the ending that we did get, I think it was probably the most powerful ending you could have done. And I think Dave had intention behind it to kind of leave people questioning and wanting them to make guesses, because Dave has always said that it is something that he likes doing, is let people kind of guess what's going on while he has all the answers, of course. But like I said, I thought the ending was so powerful because you take Ahsoka and Rex, who are on the run from these clones, and Ahsoka doesn't want to have to kill any of them because she doesn't look at them for what they are right now. She looks at them as the soldiers that she knows, that she grew up in and fighting with, side by side with them, and she didn't want to have to be the one to kill them. So then when they try not to kill anyone, and Rex has his pistol set to stun. But that end scene though, where they bury the troopers, I don't think there's anything more powerful that you could have done than that. Because you take these two characters, Ahsoka and Rex, these clones are trying to kill them. They're not trying to capture them, they're trying to kill them. And Ahsoka and Rex still bury them, and they bury them as soldiers. And you know what? Those are the only clones that are going to have a proper burial, because none of the other clones are going to get that burial. These guys fought for years for the citizens of the Republic and watching their own brothers die. Rex even shows, you know, this in the Bad Batch when he says, I've lost so many of my brothers during this war, that he's feeling the guilt and the burden. And none of them are going to get a proper funeral. They're not going to be honored as veterans. It's a real shame. The only people that were going to get that honor were the members of the 501st and with Tano's Legion and Lieutenant Jesse. I think Jesse was lieutenant, which I said before when I watched that scene just freaking got me. If you want to talk about a true Jedi, Ahsoka Tano is definitely the definition of that, even though she isn't a Jedi. Because, you know, like you see in Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan and Yoda, when they go to the temple, they don't hesitate and they kill every last one of those 501st clones, which is understandable. But you look at what Ahsoka did and you kind of compare the two options, and Ahsoka took the more diplomatic route, more of the Jedi route of I'm gonna put my weapon down and I'm not gonna fight you guys. Now, obviously, you know, like she had to defend herself. So of course, you know, self-defense is always gonna be a thing. But like when it came down to it, she wasn't gonna kill them. And then even when they all died, she still buried them with Rex. And then the putting of the lightsaber down to make, you know, obviously the Empire think that she's dead was a smart move. Now, I do question what happened to her other lightsaber, and I feel like Dave did this intentionally to try and to kind of throw us off a little bit and make us question what we think happened to it. And I said it before in my review that went up on Monday of the finale, but those stormtroopers looked so freaking awesome. They looked better than they did in Rebels. And like I said, I love Rebels, but when I go back and watch Rebels, it's going to be hard to look at the stormtroopers the same way again because of how well designed they were in Clone Wars. I don't know if Killian is still the art designer for the animation division or not, but I know that if it was him and his team, or whoever designed those troopers, did a fantastic job. Having Vader in that finale as well was another great icing on the cake. I loved seeing Vader in there, watching him pick up Ahsoka's lightsaber, and almost like that, he kind of has this realization like, you know, I really have lost everything, you know, and depending on where we are in the timeline as well. But I mean, he had his lightsaber, so that's definitely after the Vader comics where he goes to that one planet and he has to, you know, kill a Jedi or whatever, build his own build the crystal for his lightsaber. And as far as the timeline, I think that Dave left that in question as well to keep us guessing. Also, I realized something that I didn't put in my video that I was so caught up in the moment that I didn't even think about talking about was Morai, the convor that follows Ahsoka around everywhere, and like in Rebels. I thought that was a nice added touch as well. You know, like obviously we know that that Morai is the daughter. So I thought it was interesting though that she decided to show up there at that moment. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean, what it's supposed to represent, but obviously Morai has a connection to Ahsoka, and then also a little bit by default to Vader as well, because we see Morai here circling around in the sky, looking at Vader, and Vader looking at it. And then when Vader is walking out of the temple on Malachor, we also see Morai there looking at Vader as well. So obviously we know that the daughter saved Ahsoka, so that I think plays a big thing into it. And you know, Ahsoka says in Rebels, I owe her my life. Obviously there is that connection there, and you know what, it was just, what a great way to end the Clone Wars. And, you know, I'm still, you know, I've had a couple days now to process it, right? I'm still upset about it because I wanted Clone Wars to continue. I wanted this season to be more than 12 episodes. Heck, I wanted to do like 3 or 4 seasons. If you guys go on my channel and look at I think I called it Clone Wars What Could Have Been, is a list of seasons that I put out there that I think they could have done, like what kind of arcs they could have done and whatnot, kind of stuff based off of original plans for the series, some stuff from the micro series, and then sort of stuff that I personally would have wanted to see. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, make sure you go and check it out because it is a good one. So overall, Clone Wars Season 7 gets a massive thumbs up from me. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, like Sector for Nerds on Facebook, and I will see you guys next time.